All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Or whenever you're watching this. There's some words that will change how you see really everything. Okay, there's a lot of talk about motivation and, like, especially not feeling motivated to go do something that you know you need to do. Okay, motivation is so severely misunderstood. And I've been talking with a lot of people recently about this, where it's like you get all fired up and inspired, and it's like a fire. And you got to keep feeding that fire, otherwise, it burns out. And that's a very limited way of looking at things. You're actually burning up your physical body, and you're going to die early if that's how you look at things. And I know this as I've lived this, right? This the other part of this stream is going to be on what's what's the most effective way to live, where not only are you living for yourself in becoming this, best version of yourself, which, as cliche as it sounds, deep down is what you want. That can then be mirrored. I'll get into that in a little bit. But this point on motivation, okay, real definition of motivation is self movement. Hey, Kelsey, good morning. We live in a culture where people are obsessed with these moments of inspiration. It's like glamorized when we think of that, the artist, right? It's like this artist archetype where they um, have these moments of inspiration, and then it's like the whole thing comes to them, and then they go to the wall and they, like, start painting or whatever, and it's like this high. And then for a certain amount of time they're like doing the thing, right? And they're in the zone and they're so focused. Well, again, that's you have to look at this with depth of vision, meaning if you're living your life in this constant state of not really inspired, okay, come on, give me something, okay, inspired, right? And then you're high, and then you back down, right? That's literally being addicted to being high. But nobody's talking about a different way of looking at this. And I read the books, I read the research, I watch the videos and people who talk about this stuff, like James Clear, Atomic Habits, Charles Duhigg, all that stuff. It's still coming from a starting point of energy. Okay? Energy requires something physical to exist. Picture it back to the analogy of the fire. If you don't have wood to throw into the fire, some kindling, if you don't have that, you don't have fire. Fire doesn't just come out of the ether and just, start, like, existing, right? So for yourself, your physical body and what you do on a physical day and who you are, that results in energy. The issue is we're so screwed up and we have so much going on in our minds and we don't even know where our thoughts come from. So we're going around thinking that, like, this motivation is going to come from outside of ourselves and it's going to be this, like, divine guidance or something, right? People have all sorts of ways of trying to make sense of this that are all from an inherently flawed starting point. The flawed starting point is believing. Look up the definition of believe. It's believing that something is outside of yourself and it's going to come to you. And you can't be that thing. It's outside of you and it's going to, like, flow through you. When in reality, you on a very basic level, are equal to and one with everything that's here. You're not outside of it. You're not separate from it. It's literally you. The same air that I'm breathing out, you're breathing in, whether you're wearing a mask or not. The same sun that shines on you and gives your skin vitamin D and everything that your body needs as a living system of organisms. It's the same for us. So stop thinking you're separate. That's your ego, which is a separation machine and a judgment machine, thinking that you're so special, living in your own little bubble of reality, thinking that you're your own little personal God. And in that type of separation thinking, what that leads to, if you really look at where that goes to through critical thinking, is you burning yourself up, just like the fire. But you're so self-interested and you don't give any sort of thought or intention or effort to building a system that's actually life-giving, not just energy-giving, life-giving. That's in agreement and harmony, if you will, with how the world and the universe is actually set up. So there's a lot here. We basically automated ourselves like a computer, right? Like you have programs just running in the background in your computer. That's what we have with programs of self-interest. In simplest terms, it's stuff where it helped us in our childhood as like survival techniques and different ways of getting what we want and avoiding stuff that made us feel bad. And that's running on autopilot in the background. So if you ever wonder why you don't feel good and why you're confused about where your thoughts come from and you aren't all the time feeling amazing, it's because it's like you got a bunch of tabs open on your computer. You have that in your mind, but you don't know how to delete them or X out of them. And sometimes your system gets so overloaded that you want to crash and then you stay in bed for a day and then you're back up and at it. And it's like this slow decline into an inevitable death. Well, is it inevitable? Well, if you don't change, it is. Now, here's a better way of looking at motivation. So it's not this energy craving thing where you're like, okay, get me all hyped up, right? Look at it like this. Self-directed movement. Self-directed movement. Meaning coming from yourself. So the self, that's really you. That's literally interconnected with everything. I know that sounds like out there, and I know I used to be part of all the communities, looking at quantum physics, looking at spirituality, all that stuff. But still, they're missing the point because the starting point is energy. Self-directed movement is you as who you are. Literally, how are you defining yourself? Then moving from that point. So you're not moving from this automated, energy-seeking, energy-addicted starting point of the mind. Rather, it's who you are. And the only way to understand what that is to operate from the starting point of principle. Because principle is there no matter what. Whether you feel good, whether you feel bad, whether you're super motivated, inspired, and it's like everything's great, or everything is falling apart. And you're afraid for the economy, for your family, for whoever's president, right? That comes and goes. You will feel really good and you will feel really bad. I guarantee that. The thing that should not change is your principle and who you are. And yes, it's a process. Yes, you will fall on your face. Yet, when you understand real motivation is coming from principle as who you are, as self, then you direct yourself in a little different direction, and then a little different direction. And then you do that over time, and you keep breathing, you keep remembering this, you keep living this, you keep moving as this. That is directed movement. And that's real motivation. Because then no one can take that from you. Nothing can come in and say, oh, well, you had a bad day. Like, I gotta just, gotta like get my ice cream and, be all sad. Like, you still use common sense. Your body still has physical needs. You can't just become a robot and not take care of yourself. But it's the starting point that's different. And if that isn't making sense, you got to go back and rewatch this from the beginning or re-listen to this from the beginning, because your starting point will determine your end point. And who you are in this life, you got one life. You got one life. Make it count. Well, what does it mean to make it count? Well, we'll get into that over time. Minot says, life the moment present, it is for me to the best to close all the no needed tabs on my computer screen and my computer mount. Yes, Minot, well said. I know, Minot, your native language is French, so I understand exactly what you're saying. And look at this. Seriously, this analogy is so pertinent, because how many of us have tabs open on our real computer or on your phone, or the apps open on your phone, right? And you have to like close them all? Or how's your desktop on your computer, or your email inbox, or your messages, and how many notifications are you getting? We are bombarded. We are literally bombarded by these. It's by it's by a system of energy that is the world system, and it plays off of and it mirrors what's going on in our ego within ourselves. Okay, this is hardwired. It's automated. And yes, closing the tabs on your computer, and yes, in your mind, doing self-forgiveness, which is a way to close those tabs, that's possible. And that's necessary to be more effective and to be here, to be stable, to be a clear and effective human. And just like a computer, you actually have a physical hard drive. There's a real hard drive, not an energy hard drive, not some etheric, if I meditate long enough, I'll see it in some other dimension. No, a real physical hard drive in your body. It's held in your cells, okay? Cellular memory. So you have emotions trapped in your body. How do I know this? I could say certain words that would really trigger you and you'd feel like shit. You have memories trapped in your body, okay? You have to actually go through a process to remove that, because that stuff is crystallized deep within you. It's subconscious and unconscious for the most part. You can bring it out when you get triggered. You're driving in traffic, you get cut off, or you see that one family member, or your girlfriend or boyfriend or friend or whoever says something in that tone that just pisses you off. That should show you. You have something in your hard drive that's ineffective, okay? So now, self-movement means moving yourself to work through that stuff, and simultaneously then looking at, what do we have here? We have a world right now that is really, really divided, where any little thing on social media or comment that's made, people get all riled up about it with no real solution. Have you ever noticed that? Especially the people who complain the most. There's no real solution even being proposed, okay? So here's the other part of this. There's a principle. I make these videos. I made one about all 13 principles that I live by. There's some other ones that I'll make future, videos and talks on. But there's one principle. It's number 12. Visibly living the principles. It's not enough to just journal about it or to just think you're doing it. It means visible to the point where someone, let's say you're on Facebook, right? Where someone out of the blue, saying that facetiously, it would be someone who's seen your stuff, reaches out to you and says, hey, I've noticed what you've been doing. Pretty cool. We should talk further. Or, hey, you can verify it through how much money's in your bank account. And what are you doing with the money? Because who cares if you have money in your bank account if you just think it's good for you? Like, yes, common sense, you have to pay your bills. I'm not saying money doesn't matter. I'm saying, who are you within the money? How do you direct the money? If money is a stream and a flow of energy, what are you doing to, one, be worth the money and deserve the money? You got to look up those words because those are probably charged words for you too. So what are you doing to be worth the money and to deserve the money? And then how are you allocating that money to then share that with others and be a living example and give as you would like to receive? Because if you're knocked down and you are in a very bad spot in your life and things are compounding and coming together, I'm guessing you would want some support from others. Not necessarily just a handout or a someone solves the problem for you, because that's actually setting you up for even more failure because you never actually learn the lesson. So you'll just end up repeating the same cycle because that's what's automated within you. Rather, giving as you would like to receive, meaning real support, real effective education. Education meaning being able to understand and then do something different and get a different result. That's real education, not what the school system told you it was, not what your first grade teacher told you it was. It's really understanding and comprehending how things work so you can pick up a book, read it, get it, and then get a different result. Or you can watch a YouTube video, and instead of just going down the YouTube rabbit hole because it feels good and it's fun to listen to whoever or look at the images flashing on the screen, rather you watch that video as though you're mining for gold and you're digging through it and you're looking at it, studying it, investigating it, and then you pull out that piece of information and you realize that fits into my life over here. Oh, and over there too. Oh, and I could share that with this person. Cool. That's what it means to be a living example. Living. Like you, your body, the thing that breathes, that has a heartbeat, that can communicate and express words, that can learn and change, right? That's living. And then you become an example for others so that they can realize, whoa, you mean I don't have to go along with mainstream? You mean I don't have to just live my life like a freaking parasite? Just chasing energy, like that's worthy in itself to just feel good all the time. If that's you, you're equal to the most evil people in the world. If all you care about is yourself and how good you feel, you are literally the same as the evil people that go to Epstein's Island and are pedophiles, or that just care about money and are willing to crash the entire economy just so that they can be good. Right? That stuff exists. Look into it. That'll be sobering. That if that doesn't wake you up to change, I don't know what will, but I'll keep making these live streams. So, in conclusion, we have automated, as in made it autopilot. Like our destination in life, if you're in like a self-driving car, right? Or let's say an Uber of your life, you put the destination as self-seeking, I want to feel good, no matter what. But you have these morality points, and you know that that's kind of evil. So you've built up a whole set of personalities and characteristics and characters around yourself to say, well, but I give to charity, and like I'm doing good enough. That's still self-interested. You trying to feel good. You just realize if you were real honest with yourself, it wouldn't feel very good. So you don't even look at it. Well, here I am to help you look at it. So you've automated that. That's your destination in the GPS, and you're going toward that. It's on you to look at that, to breathe, to realize there is a better way. Not a theoretical better way. You don't have to guess. It's here. Look at the other content that I put out. Look at what Cameron Cope is saying. Look at what Kian and Asif Nazrali are saying. Look at what the videos I make with Jessica, my girlfriend. We talk about this stuff. There's a whole world of people. There's a whole network of people to be plugged into that are actually living as examples, because we see that not just us as humans have put our destination as self-interest, energy only, I want to feel good at all costs, but that's what we've done collectively through what we have accepted and allowed and what we continue to participate in. And for those of you who think you're not that, like, oh, I can just ignore what's in the world. Like the other day, I saw this guy make a post about, I asked a group, the self-perfected group, I said, what pisses you off? And he said, I choose something like, I choose not to participate in like in the things that make like people feel pissed, right? And it's like, that's so dishonest. If you use money, you are participating in this. So go ahead and stop using your laptop or your phone. Stop paying your bills. Stop using your money and see where your life is, right? Okay, you're connected to a system, whether you want it or not. If you have a driver's license, if you have Social Security, if you have health insurance, any of that, it's all this interconnected system. So it's on us as living examples to actually start directing ourselves to move it. And motivation as energy will not cut it. You will get burned out. You will not understand what's going on, and you will hit a cap. And you'll keep going back and spiraling into basically what's automated for you. And you'll end up basically like, take both your parents where they're at right now, combine them, maybe give yourself a centimeter up, because there's a little different reality than they had, because we have the internet and we're more interconnected. But that's also, if you don't have the right starting point, you're going to be screwed even more. If you haven't heard of Social Dilemma, check that out. Because the system has become automated to basically suck our attention, right? It's the social media system and all that. So it's on us to change this. And the real starting point is life. Life with a capital L. Like the life that's here even after death happens. It's still here. If you're to die, life goes on. That life. Okay? Equalize yourself to that. Realize you are literally one with it, as in you can't separate yourself from it. And then as you, as a sovereign individual, look at your equality with other people, and then realize giving as you would like to receive means being an example of living. So look at that for yourself today and every day. Leave yourself a reminder. How I would look at this, if I were just starting out with this, because this is a lot, I would literally grab my phone and say, hey, Siri. That activated your phone? Okay, good. Hey, Siri, remind me every day at 8 a.m. to practice living as an example, or to practice self-directed movement. And use what's here. Use the fact that we have Siri. Use the fact that you have reminders, or whatever you use, right? And start one by one to change this for yourself, so that you keep being reinforced with this, because the world will keep bombarding you, and you need to be part of a group to actually start changing. If you're alone, you will not succeed, but be part of this group, because where we're going is to actually change this entire system, so that a generation from now, children are born into a world where their needs are actually met and they aren't bombarded by social media. And there's a better way for kids to learn than just their parents handing them an iPad or giving them Sesame Street, because that is some form, it's abusing the kid straight up. Okay, but some parents don't know there's a better way, so I'm not here to judge them. I'm here to be a living example of what's really possible, because this thing that we thought is life, we have royally screwed up, and it's an abomination. And today again, 20,000 more kids are going to die from preventable causes every single day. Do you know how many that is every hour and every minute? Think of how many kids died since I started this exact video, and what are you going to do about it? Okay? This is your wake-up call. And if this one didn't get through to you, the next one might. Okay? But for those of you that this does make sense, reach out. We have our group Self-Perfected. Do the video challenges. Look at the tools in that group. That will guide you. You will be able to move in 3 months from now, 6 months from now. I know some people even in 2 weeks that their life drastically changes from applying these tools and being part of the network. And now a year, 2, 3 years from now, watch what happens within the world. Because this is growing, and it is inevitable, because the core people running it, this is who we are. We're here to live and be living examples, and to make this world system that's just been caring about self-interested energy alone is now being shifted and purified, so that it's actually life-giving, just like nature. Where all the food comes from, all the water comes from, the sunlight, our atmosphere, all of that is life-giving. That's what we need to become, but it's a process. All right, everyone. Stay tuned.